Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Farmer with Wrestling Inc. here, and I am being joined by none other than the host of the Major Wrestling Figure Pod on Major Pod Network, but also the agent, Matt Cardona. Matt, thanks so much for joining me. And what's the best thing that's happened to you so far today?
Oh, today. Well, I mean, I've been doing a bunch of these. I went to the gym, about to go lay in the pool. I'll go on Whatnot later. Whatnot is where we auction off, whether it be wrestling figures, ring gear, just extra ways to make money. Always hustling, always making that money, baby.
Yeah, you got to stay busy. Are you a first thing in the morning gym guy?
Well, breakfast first, then the gym. But this morning I had to do a bunch of these interviews that kind of threw me off. I got to go tan after this. I leave tomorrow. So my Thursday is usually like my haircut day, my tan day, get ready for the weekend day.
Very cool. I always try to be a morning workout guy. I can't do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. My body's like, no, thank you. And so I got to do it later on. But I wish I could do it early. But you mentioned you're a busy guy. I got to confess something here. You make it very hard for an interviewer like me because I like to do my research. And so I'm like, let me pull up some interviews with Matt Cardona first so I don't repeat so many questions.
Sure.
You've done a million of these things. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh God, every week I'm doing it. But the thing is, I'm always doing new things. So there's always more questions to ask. You even asked me off air, is there anything that I want to get in? I have too much to plug. Whatever comes up, comes up. I mean, literally, we could spend the next 20 minutes and I can name everything I'm involved in. And, we'd still run out of time.
Right. Well, so it's easy because there's a lot to talk about. But two, I'm like, I spent like 3 hours listening to interviews from the past couple weeks, and I was like, geez, I didn't even really get into some of the deeper stuff. But the real reason we're here, the big thing that we're setting this up for, is NWA 75. It's the biggest NWA show ever, at least as far as numbers on the end of it goes, and it's going to be a massive show. And again, you put me in a tough spot. I try to do some research. I want to look at who your opponent's going to be, but right now, I just see a big TBA sitting in front of that name spot there. You issued an open challenge. Do you, at any point, do you know who you're facing? Has anyone poked their head out, sent you an email, any feelers sent out? What's going on?
I mean, full disclosure, I was the NWA champion last year. I came to the NWA to save the NWA. I saw the potential in the NWA. And of course, we all know the history and the legacy of the NWA. But it needed a kick in the ass, and I was that kick in the ass. I won the championship. I beat Trevor Murdoch. I brought that title all over the world. Whether you liked me or not, or you watched NWA or not, everybody who followed wrestling knew that I was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I was very proud of that. I'm still very proud of that. But unfortunately, I got injured. I tore my bicep. I had to relinquish the title. And ever since then, my run in the NWA hasn't quite been what I wanted it to be. And I haven't been on NWA TV since February. So I figure what better way to come back? Like you said, the biggest show to date. And it honestly doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who my opponent is. It's going to be the biggest match of their career, the biggest opportunity of their life. But for me, honestly, it's just going to be another payday. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it's definitely good about the payday, but I've got to be honest with you, Matt. I mean, I'm not a pro wrestler. I'm not a strategist, but I look at this and I'm a little worried for you here. You were on a bit of a losing skid during your last run through NWA at the end there. In fact, you went through a table by your friend, Mike Knox. Former friend. Well, that's clearly. Right. And I gotta be, look at historically, these open challenges on these big shows, it typically doesn't bode well for the guy that issued the challenge. Are you a little nervous about where this might lead?
It's funny you say that because last year I literally raced back from injury to be ready for NWA 74. I had an open challenge and I lost because I took my opponent too lightly. But the hashtag, the nickname, always ready. I am a man that's always ready, whether it be in my life or career. I'm always ready for any opportunity. I'm always ready for any opponent. And I'm not going to take it lightly like I did last year. No way.
What does, by the way, is it night one or night two?
Night one. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen night two. I'm getting paid. I don't know if I'm going to be on the show night two. I'll tell you, my travel says I'll be there both days, but the open challenge is for night one.
Night one. So night one's going to be a nice looking card there, August 26th. A lot of good things on there. What does saving the NWA look like for you?
Well, now, listen, Tyrus, he beat me, right? You can say what you want about Tyrus. He takes that title. He is the perfect spokesman for the NWA. He brings that title on television, Fox News. I don't care what your politics are. He's bringing that title on television, right? Like, this is a big deal. So people who don't even know what the NWA knows that Tyrus is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So that's great. Tyrus is not, I don't think he's going to accept my open challenge. I don't think this is going to be a NWA title match, but the goal is to be a two-time champion. I never lost that title. I had to relinquish it. Honestly, I'm kind of a little pissed off I had to, because I missed like less than 3 months. I missed less than 3 months as the champion. I could have held on to it. I could have done promos. I could have done media appearances. I could have done whatever. But I respect Billy's decision. His decision was final, and that's it. So if I get an opportunity, I feel like every opportunity I had since, there's always been some sort of collusion. There was a triple threat match with Tyrus and Trevor. It wasn't one-on-one. Or with Tyrus, even Bully Ray got involved. So I'm not going to sit here and moan and complain and say it wasn't fair, but I haven't gotten a fair one-on-one rematch for my title.
You said it was only 3 months. Are you a fan of the idea of an interim champion and then the returning champ coming back for the repeat match, or not a fan?
I'm not a fan of that. I think it just muddies the waters. It's too confusing. And listen, I wasn't going to be out for like 9 months. I was going to be out for 3. So even more reason, just keep it on me.
Right.
Just keep it on me. Come on. But it is what it is. Water under the bridge. That was a year ago. And the goal is now to become a 2-time champion.
You mentioned it was Billy Corgan's decision at the end of the day. What's it like working with someone who is not only a promoter, but a rock star? And how involved is he with what you're doing, things like this open challenge, but also how does he compare to former bosses, like obviously a Vince McMahon?
I've been saying this since I got to NWA. I love the freedom there. For instance, if it's a NWA power taping and I have to speak at the podium, it just says, Matt Cardona, podium, 4 minutes. There's no outline. There's no script. And that's not just for me. I don't get special treatment. That's for everybody. And I feel that's what pro wrestling should be. So I love working in that kind of environment.
I know you've been asked questions about obviously your time with WWE and it coming to an end and moving forward. And so I want to talk a little bit, though, if it's okay, about not necessarily the details of WWE versus everything else, but your mindset. And you had a dream job and it was gone, and you found a way, at least outside looking in, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to you in a lot of ways. For people who have great things, it's a hard times out there for a lot of people. Any advice or thought processes on taking what looks like a step back and turning it into a step forward?
It sounds like it's super simple, and it is super simple. Just do the damn work. Outwork everybody. If you want something done, do it yourself, right? And in WWE, listen, I love my time there. It set me up for this epic indie run. It set me up for life. And I learned so much there. But in WWE, especially for a guy in my position there were only so many things I could control. So I controlled those things to the best of my abilities. But now, being on the indies, being the agent, I can control literally everything. And my brain doesn't stop. And I'm trying to make everything a success. Not everything's going to be a success. There's so many things that I have failed at. But I have the opportunity, and the opportunities are endless. I can literally do whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm my own boss. I haven't signed contracts with any other wrestling company. I have no reason to. I don't care how you define success, whether it's by accolades, money, happiness. I've been the most successful I've ever been in my life since leaving WWE. And that's not a shot at WWE. That's a pat on the back to myself for working my goddamn ass off, because I will not stop. I just won't. Like, there's so many weekends where I'm like, I'll just do one show this weekend. Last week I did 4. It is because I just love, I say this in character, but this is true. I love the buzz the money and the gold. Like, I want to be the top guy in the indies. I'm on the goddamn cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated right now. There hasn't been an independent wrestler on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated since like the territory days, right? So I'm proud of something like that. I'm proud that right now I have the most buzz I've ever had in my career. And that's because I'm working my ass off. And I see these guys or girls who were released with me or after me not doing jack. And I have no sympathy towards that. Like, go work your ass off. Go get booked. Go reinvent yourself. I did it. So why can't you?
I feel like you were looking at my notes here because you've touched on so many things there, but you've done a few of these though, so maybe I'm predictable. But my question is, I think you are the biggest name in indie wrestling, and
there's no
like
doubt. And that's not me being maybe I have a bit of an ego, but that's just fact.
Yeah, right.
And that's because I'm getting myself out there every single weekend. I do the indies that have all the buzz. I do the indies where, I go do the show. It's like the day never existed in my life because I won't get one tweet about it. But I do those shows. I go overseas. I just got back from Japan. I'm going to Australia. I'm going to England. I'm going everywhere because I'm not on TV. I'm not on Raw, SmackDown, any of those AEW shows. So I need to push myself. And I have no problem doing that.
Why do you think more people aren't copying you?
Lazy.
Because I look at you and I'm like, this looks like a blueprint for success. And if I was wrestling, I feel like I would just copy you.
Over a decade ago, I created the blueprint of how to get over on social media. And now I'm doing it again, how to get over without a major wrestling company. I mean, it's no secret. I literally put out podcasts with my tips and tricks. And like, people, they say they want it, but they don't want it. They don't want to put in all that work. They don't want to eat clean. They don't want to work out hard. They don't want to miss weekends. They don't want to, miss celebrations or parties or birthdays or weddings. Like, that's what this business is.
I mean, and I think you alluded to the PWI cover, and that's got to be such a proud moment for you, not just because it's a big thing in pro wrestling, but you being 100% self-made in that. I mean, no disrespect to anyone else is on there, but when you have the power of a big company behind you, it's one thing, but you've done that completely on your own. Something you should be very proud about there, just to throw that out there because I feel like I say you're the biggest name in indie wrestling. I don't want people to think I'm a suck up. I'm saying there's numbers behind what I'm saying, and a little bit of suck up, but like for the most part, there's numbers.
Also, listen, I'm not here. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not here. This isn't my honky tonk man run on the indies, right? I'm not here to pass the torch to the next generation. I got a lot left in the tank. I'm here to light a new torch and carry it for myself. However, if I can help somebody along the way, whether it be in the ring or with, getting over or with selling merch, I'm glad to give back.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's about me, and I'm my number one focus. And that's why I'm so driven, because everything is up to me. I'm not relying on anybody else. So if something doesn't take off or something doesn't succeed, I'm man enough and mature enough to look in the mirror, blame myself, figure out what I can do to adjust that, and move on.
Is there, and you don't need to give me numbers or anything like that, but there's a lot of people who want to be wrestlers watching this, and there are people who are just trying to get side hustles and things like that. When you're first figuring out your rates, how did you go about figuring out what the right rate is, and how did you feel about when it was time to raise it and things like that? And again, you don't need to give me numbers, but just kind of how did you figure out what was right?
So, I asked around like what the going rate was at the time, and my rate has been the same since I left WWE, but I feel like I should raise it because my stock is through the roof. Now there's certain things I have raised, like my merchandise costs or like my meet and greet costs that I have raised pretty much almost doubled, right? Mm-hmm. Because like supply and demand, right? When the people stop lining up to meet me, that's when I'll lower my prices.
Right.
When they stop buying all my merch, that's when I'll lower the prices. Until then, I'm going to keep jacking it up until they stop coming.
Perfect. And of course you work in a lot of places and you're doing a lot of stuff. But you recently went on Twitter and you said that GCW wasn't listening to your creative pitches. I got to ask, if they're not listening, I'm all ears, Matt. What are some of these creative pitches you had for them?
No, I mean, GCW, without GCW, and this is no bullshit, like without GCW, I don't even know if I'd be sitting here talking to you right now. It was just fate, right place, right time. I knew it would create some buzz to go to GCW. I knew people would want to see Zack Ryder get carved up by Nick Gage. It was fresh off the Dark Side of the Ring episode, and I knew there would be buzz, but I could not anticipate the amount of buzz there was. It changed my career, changed my life. The snowball effect, making me the number one guy on the indies, certainly switching me from quote unquote babyface to heel, which I'm the same guy, but the fans turned on me because I beat some criminal. They should be cheering me.
Right.
Don't quite understand that. But I love GCW.
People turned on
yeah. Like, people ask me all the time, like, is GCW the number one independent promotion? Yes, but it's weird. I don't really consider them an independent. Like, truly, they are independent, right? Nobody's backing them. Nobody's funding them. But they're running more shows than anybody. I think they're running more than AEW. They're running every weekend all over the world. Now, listen, GCW is not selling out Wembley Stadium, okay? It's not.
Right.
I'm not comparing GCW to AEW in that regard. But they're running not just like New Jersey. Every single weekend, it's somewhere new. At least 2 shows, all these different countries. Like GCW, man, if you're on the independents and you don't want to work for GCW, I don't know what you're doing.
You mentioned they're the biggest independent company. This is something I was curious about. To you, what makes a company indie versus not indie? Is it being on network television? Is it how many people are watching? Like, what like, is Impact an indie? Is NWA an indie? Where's that line drawn?
I think if you're getting a direct deposit, you're not an indie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Right? If they
That's
have
a
your
good
bank
answer.
info, if they have your bank info, right, can send you a direct deposit check, then you're not an indie. So Impact, not an indie. NWA, not an indie. WWE, obviously not an indie.
Right.
AEW, not an indie. Duh.
Right.
If they have your bank info, not an indie.
Yeah.
That's the most simple way to explain it, in my opinion.
I think that's the best answer. I didn't expect it, but that was probably the best answer you could have had for that. Now, you're a free spirit right now. You're working all over the place. Obviously, money's a factor, but if someone said, hey, Matt Cardona, I want to lock you down. I want you to be only with us. Like, what does that contract have to look like? Besides, again, obviously a big enough paycheck, but beyond that.
It would take a lot of convince. Listen, I'm a businessman. I would have a conversation with anybody who called me, right? But it would take the 2 C's, cash and creative. And of course, there's no promises with creative, right? But the intention would have to be there. I don't want to just be a guy on a roster. Been there, done that. It's great. And I get it if you're fine with that. If you have a family, you want that check coming in, you want the security, I get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't need that. Been there, done that. My dream wasn't just to be a pro wrestler. My dream was to be a wrestling superstar. And right now I'm doing it on my own. But if AEW called, if Tony Khan called me right now and said, hey, we want you for All In Wembley, if it made sense, of course I would go. Or if WWE called and said, hey, we want to bring you back, blah, blah, blah. If it made sense, of course I would go. Until then, I don't need to go. And I think that's what's so rewarding about this run is that ever since I got released, it wasn't like, oh, what can I do to get back to WWE? Or what can I do to go to AEW? I don't give a shit.
Right.
I'm trying to make the most money, have the most fun, and I'm succeeding doing that. And, I'd argue that my buzz has never been higher. I'll tell you right now, I've never made more money, and I've never been happier. So I think I'm doing a pretty damn good job.
I got one more question. Again, I know you've got a bunch of stuff going on, and one more question.
You keep asking. I got some more time. I got some. We're not gonna charge you overtime.
Okay. Oh well, in that case, I do want to ask about the figures. Okay. Obviously, this is something you've become known for as well. I said you're the number one indie guy, but I have a feeling, do you keep track of other figure collectors and who's the number one figure guy? Is it you, or who's your rival? Is there anyone you're trying to catch? Like, are you like, this guy's got more than me, or, oh, that's the piece I need? Like, what's
funny? I have a lot of wrestling figures. non-wrestling figures. I have a lot of high-end stuff. I have a lot of stuff that's worth nothing. I don't think anybody could have the best collection. I think everybody's collection is special in its own way. Everyone can make their own rules, collect what they want, whether they're a completist and get every single figure in a particular line or just who they like. Yeah, I don't think anyone can have the best collection. I'm not trying to compete with anyone in that regard. Yeah, if you get something and you like it, it makes you happy, and you have it on display, or you even have it in a Ziploc and in some tote in your garage, whatever makes you happy, whatever you want to collect, do it. I don't judge anybody's collection. I think they're all equal.
So what you're saying is you're better than all of them, and you're trying to be diplomatic. I got it. It's all good.
Well, I do call myself the Michael Jordan of wrestling figure collecting.
So everyone else is just chasing number 2.
Well, listen, you said it, not me.
Since you said I got a little time, I want to throw this is a personal question. I'm a big fan of weddings. You obviously are famously married. When you guys did your grand entrance, did you come out to your entrance music or Chelsea's?
No, I didn't want like any wrestling stuff at the wedding. Like, oh God, I'm cringing right now thinking about that. We came out to This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan, which is my favorite song.
I love it.
And I will admit that my hit single Hosky from back in the day was played at least twice during the wedding. Wasn't up to me. The people wanted it. I had to satisfy the guests who flew all the way to our wedding. So I did it for them, not for me.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you. You got a lot of stuff to plug here. I know you've got an MLW match coming up. You've got a GCW match coming up. You got an NWA 75 match.
Yeah, House of Glory against Tanahashi. Listen, we can spend another 30 minutes with all my matches. So.
Well, this one it was put together by NWA, so I'm going to be a little bit biased to them. If you're someone who has heard about this NWA thing and you're not really sure if you're ready to bite yet, why is NWA 75 the time, and what can we expect from you?
I think NWA is a great place because there's so many hungry wrestlers, people who are looking for that first bit of exposure, people who are looking for that second or third run. I think it's just a whole mixture of talent. And they all want the NWA to succeed. They all want to succeed themselves. Everyone's hungry. And I think the 2-night event, NWA 75, it's gonna be incredible. Of course, I'm on the card. So who's going to be my opponent? We'll find out. Tyrus defending the World's Heavyweight Championship against EC3. So that's a match I'm looking forward to. I want to see who the winner is. I'll be taking notes because I want a rematch. But yeah, NWA, it's a great place to be. And I think the fans, if they haven't already, should give it a chance at NWA 75.
NWA 75, August 26th and 27th. It's a huge anniversary number. I'm a big fan of the nice numbers too. I always say no offense to 23, no offense to the number 48, but 75 just feels good. So definitely everyone make sure to either get your tickets there or watch it live on pay-per-view. Thank you so much, Matt Cardona, for the time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.